Welcome to Rise and Shine Daily. Good morning. My name is Janice Cobham, and we're super happy to have you at the other side joining us this morning. Trust me, for all the very topical conversations making the rounds today. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. My name is Uyai Aneka. Of course, it's a great Tuesday morning to rise and shine wherever you are.
Let's look at our very major stories making the rounds this morning. From yesterday to this morning. Our major stories this morning, we're starting from politics. Of course, we know that Nigeria is in a transition period from one administration to another administration. So there's been a whole process of politicking, of electoral processes and all of that. So this morning, the People's Democratic Party and the New Nigeria People's Party have also faulted the President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, on when he said that he has tried his best for the country. Now, the two opposition parties said while the president had continued to express satisfaction about his efforts towards developing the country, the reality on ground was an indication of a regime that had failed to fulfill its election promises to Nigerians. The spokesman for the PDP, Debo Olungunagba, said rather than talking about his efforts, the president should apologize and tell Nigerians that he was not ready for the job. We are serious concerns there. I know that, like, people would say it's coming from an opposition party. Yeah. And of course, we've talked over time that one of the reasons why we have opposition parties, is to keep the government of the day on their toes. It's more like a check and balance thing. So that the government of the day will actually, fulfill their promises, their election promises, or even do better. But again, over the couple of weeks, we've heard the president say that, look, I have done my best for Nigerians. And if we want to also look at it, some of the indices that, are there, you can say that, okay, so he's tried his best for Nigeria, but he's also talked about the fact that he's tried his best in terms of security, in terms of food security as well. But when we look at it in the reality of things on ground, we find out that a lot of homes do not even have food to eat. We find out that the prices of food items and commodities have skyrocketed. And then you're asking, where is even the money? The naira now is devalued. So you take a 20,000 naira, a 30,000 naira into the market to buy goods, and then you're coming out with just one small cellophane bag of goods. So you find out that even the monies that you're taking to the market is not enough for you to feed your family in 1 week. And the president says he has tried in terms of food security. Now, I know that there's been the talks on so much investment in agriculture, okay? And then there's also been the talks of let us produce what we consume. And then the issue of rice, growing of rice, producing rice. So we have our local rice. But if you go to the market, we went to Akpanandem market the other day, and a bag of local rice goes for, I think, 35,000 naira, between 29,000 to 35,000 naira. Now, how many families will be able to afford that? Now, this is a product that we produce on our own. Why is it that expensive? It is not even accessible to the Nigerian families. Why is it that expensive? Okay, so these are some of the things. And then the president is also saying, look, I have also tried in terms of security as well. And then we have pockets of security here and there. I know that we cannot say that he will be 100% in terms of the campaign promises that he brought on the table when he assumed office in 2015. But then again, will Nigerians say that he has really tried? In terms of infrastructure, we give it to him. He's done so much. Even in agriculture, there's been a lot of investment in the agricultural sector. But again, I think the argument will be that who are those working with the president? Who are those making sure that these things are implemented? poverty is on the increase, and I think multidimensional poverty, the records that was given by the the United the UN now, United Nations now, in Nigeria, shows that a lot of people, how many people? I think 133 million people are living under the poverty line. So it keeps increasing, and the UN has also said that, look, it's not even going to, there are future projections of even more cases, worse cases happening to the country. And of course, in line with what we are going to be discussing in the later part of the show in terms of our focus conversation, 80 million people in Nigeria will be losing their jobs come 2030. So what are we doing to make sure that this does not occur? So I think that, well, some people would say that since it's an opposition, it's likely that these kinds of issues will be raised. But when we put the scorecard, like you always say, of this particular administration, can we beat our chest, like as Nigerians, to say that yes, the president has actually tried his best?
Whether we can say the president has tried his best or not is going to be neither here nor there. At the end of the day, all Nigerians cannot be satisfied by the things that a particular administration has done, especially because right now the economy is biting. So for instance, when you hear that a Buhari-led administration has not been successful, we are mostly speaking about the economy and security. And I'd like to say that one thing we must not forget is that the global economic downturn, the economic downturn is actually global. It's not a Nigerian thing. It's happening all over the world. It's happening in other African nations. It's happening in the West. It's happening in Europe. It's happening all over the world. But sometimes the difference between us and these developed nations is that they already have structures in place that are helping them to, cushion the effect of all of these things. I mean, Nigeria is not even a developing nation. We are still underdeveloped. So there is a lot of things that, the state of Nigeria is begging for. And so I feel like sometimes we could even just cut the president some slack. If the man says he has tried his best, he has tried his best, because I mean he has put in certain investments here and there. Just in the course of this week, early this week already, Serap is also suing President Muhammadu Buhari over the social investment programs, some of these investments and initiatives that he has brought out to help people in terms of cushioning poverty, bringing people. Now there's been several things that
don't forget that we had issues recently with the N-Power thingy, in terms of corruption and all of that. And just yesterday we were talking about the school feeding program, where even the funds that were released were not given to vendors to be able to give these people, these children, school children, good food. Now the idea behind the school feeding program was actually to take children off the streets and make sure that children go to school. So let it be that there's just an incentive that is pulling these children from their homes, take the burden off snacking from their parents and give to government, and see that, okay, at the end of the day, these children can feed well while they learn. But when you're even talking about a school feeding program, have you thought about the facility under which these children are learning as well? Yeah, we've been able to establish...
You would also say the fact that the government has earmarked some money for some of these initiatives. Sometimes we just have a system that has misplaced priorities. It's just like when we started an initiative of let's fence around all the primary schools, and then all of a sudden, like in Akwa Ibom State, we found out that all primary schools began to be fenced around, and that happened mostly in the urban centers. What of the primary schools and secondary schools in the very rural areas? Those children, don't you think that they're also exposed to insecurity related issues? But if we are taking the amount of money voted to provide fencing for these schools and actually build classrooms and updated environment for them to learn, it might have been better. So you might have the president seated with good initiatives and things he wants to use to help and move the government forward, but then the people assigned and appointed into the lead roles in these departments and agencies, sometimes are also part of the problem. So when we are saying when we have opposition saying, oh, President Muhammadu Buhari has not done as well as he's trying to find himself for doing, let's not forget that, you know, that the president is not leading on his own. He's not, you know, standing on his own to call off all the shots. There are people in his cabinet. There are people he sends on errands. And let us accept as Nigerians that most often than not, when an administration fails, we as Nigerians also contribute to the failure of that administration, because it is still Nigerians that President Muhammadu Buhari is appointing and sending on errands. He's not bringing Togolese or Benin Republic citizens. He's still bringing Nigerians who are greedy in themselves, you know, boycotting monies meant for certain social programs, monies that have been voted for infrastructural development. He is one man with one head. He is not going to be in the 36 states of the federation, you know, overseeing all the things that his, you know, biro has, you know, signed the signature for. So there's a lot of things happening. I just feel like Nigerians are also failing the state of Nigeria, because we have a lot of greedy people in the whole ladder of leadership, you know, from the presidency down. So you have one President Muhammadu Buhari trying to be Mr. Integrity, you know, on one part, but then you have a lot of people working in his cabinet that are trying to sabotage that same attempt. So let's even say, okay, this is the opposition trying to blow a whistle and say, oh man, you haven't done as much as you have done. But even as the opposition are saying that if we give them the opportunity come next year's elections, will we be able to tell a different story? So I'm even looking at the fact that when we talk about these things, let us look inwards into the people that we have as cabinet members. Definitely. Let's look at people that we are sending on errands. What kind of integrity do they have? Are these people, do they have nation building at the center of everything that they're doing? Because at the crux of all of these, Nigerians are just greedy. Most of us are. I mean, you're looking at you're looking at even small things, at the fact that you come down to the market, you're talking about the prices of things. We had already said it the other day, something that you bought last week at a particular price and someone has not gone to market to restock. You sit down in your shop out of greed as a Nigerian and just increase the price for another person whose salary was not topped over the week. You understand? So it's just a vicious circle that is going. At the end of the day, sometimes you just relax and say, let Nigerians have what Nigerians get. Yeah. Because we are all making an investment into the quality of the nation that we are having. So I really don't think this is a President Muhammadu Buhari thing. It cuts across each and every one of us. If all of us are diligent in the assignments that we are given as leaders, you know, across all the departments, agencies, and all of that, we will have a better country. If you are assigned 50 billion naira to get something done and you use 49 billion naira to get the job done, we'd have a better country, Janice. Yeah, definitely have a better country. But I think a few days ago, the president also said that he is doing his best for Nigeria as a president, but his best is not good enough. I think all of this is culminating to also the fact that he said, was it yesterday he made that comment that he's going to be very far from the seat of power, and I'm sure that's because of all the backlashing that has been coming on him, you know, during his tenure as the president. Anyways, he's not yet done. We still have him till May 29, when he will be officially handing over to the next government and the next administration. But we just hope that we get a Nigeria that is something we can always be proud. I think just yesterday over the news we read that there's so much brain drain going on in the health sector. There's so much brain drain going on everywhere, actually. A lot of people are leaving the country because of where the country stands today. But it also has its own impact. If we're saying that the administration... We even had the United Kingdom open up visas for teachers to come, Nigerian teachers to come over. So we are saying we are already begging, we are choking that our doctors are leaving. We now have opportunities for teachers to leave our country where our education, educational sector is already begging for help. If you now have teachers with the least qualification begin to have visas and also leave the country, who exactly is going to help the country? I think all of this culminates to the fact that look, the thinking or the narration outside is that look, the government has failed us as a people. So let us go to places where it is better.
But my hope and my prayer is that they are going through the normal and legal way, because we end up having more problems for ourselves in terms of NIDCOM trying to, like, you know, begin to repatriate Nigerians back. I think recently there was some repatriation from India, you know, back to the country and all of that. So let us also make sure that, you know, while we are jackbarring, I'm going to use the Nigerian term now, while we are jackbarring out of the country because we think that the country or the government of the day has failed us, let us remember that if we do not build, if we not put hands together, put our hands on the plow together to build this country, nobody is going to build it for us.